Hey guys, so I had a check engine light came on my 2016 Chevy Cruze, and when we read scan the codes, we got them read. The codes came as P0101 and P1101 P0299. So if we check here, it says P0101 mass airflow or volume airflow circuit range or performance problem. And then for the P1101 mass airflow MAF sensor out of self-test range. And then for the P0299, when I looked it up online, that said the turbo system under boost, so the turbo was not performing as it should. It was underperforming. So all of these have to do with the intake turbo system on the Chevy Cruze. This is a 2016. So I realized the problem had to be with it had to do with one of the intake, either intake boots or mass airflow sensor. And then as I was doing research, kept reading and checking, I realized that it could be dozens of different things. So I fixed the problem on this car. My problem with this one, with these codes, was this car has a transmission oil cooler. This is the front bumper right here. I got this removed on the driver's side. The transmission oil cooler has intake and exhaust, basically in and out, big hose on each side. It'll be a little bit hard to see it from here. Let me see if I can get a good view. Okay, so this is the driver's side. This is the transmission oil cooler hose, and this hose was loose. It came off, and some of the transmission fluid was dripping. And I had a frame shop do some front bumper reinforcement, get it replaced, and they had to straighten it a bit. They did some work on it, and this somehow came loose and they overlooked it. So I had to reconnect that. It's got this wire C-clip. I had to reconnect it and then put the C-clip in there. It's tight now. And then I had to make sure there was enough transmission fluid in there. So once I reconnected that transmission oil cooler hose and started the engine, it was running fine again. Most of the time when you have this code, one of the three codes, or all three, or two of the three show up, usually the idling RPM is not steady, it's not stable. So it could be idling at 600-700 RPM up to 1500, up and down. It was moving up and down, and as I accelerated on the highway, I felt a loss of horsepower. And at cruising range, it was just a huge drag. I kept driving. I had to get home, so I drove it for about half an hour. So that fixed my problem. But with yours, it could be dozens of different things. There's another transmission oil cooler hose on your front passenger side, and your transmission oil cooler is located right behind the AC condenser and in front of that radiator. So when this happens with your car, you might check with that your mass airflow sensor is connected. The clips on the intake air boot, they're all nice and tight. Check on those. You might check on one of these exhaust hoses and connectors, wiring harness. And I found out that one guy had to replace the intake turbocharger, this piece right here under this manifold, this tin foil. So it's this piece, basically it's a turbocharger system that he had to replace, and those things are $450 to $500 for a brand new one. And another person had to replace one of these intake boots where the rubber part had a hole in it, had a leak in it. So that was one of the issues. So when you have these codes, just check for wiring harnesses, intake boots, and you might also kind of check your air filter too. So just keep checking and you might find the problem. even though if you take this to a professional mechanic, they're not gonna pinpoint your problem right away, so they usually need some time to diagnose. Pop the hood up and look for it for an hour or two or so. So thanks for watching. Take care. Hope that helps.